Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Cinema Wave podcast. Today, we are covering the newest Wes Anderson film, The Phoenician Scheme, which just came to theaters this weekend. It stars Benicio del Toro, Mia Threapleton, and Michael Cera. Today, I'm one of your hosts. I'm Liz Seiko, and I am joined by Vinny Albano.
Hello, hello.
And Michael Peniston.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Hey.
All right, we're going to do just brief general thoughts after coming out of the theater. So, Mikey, why don't you start? Give us general thoughts after seeing The Phoenician Scheme.
Okay, yeah. So, I'm a big Wes Anderson fan of his earlier work, should I say? You know, we kind of tippy toe with the newer ones. As far as The Phoenician Scheme, I thought that there were very small moments of this film that hit certain performances. Other than that, to be honest, I was very lost a lot of the time in this movie. I knew the generic idea as to what we were doing and what was happening, the plot. I think that Benicio del Toro had a good performance. It was I didn't see any flaws in it. But just as far as the moving along with that story, I just got lost a lot of the time, and it felt like there was a lot going on, a lot of info going on. Let me say that better. That I don't know, maybe it just wasn't in my realm of interest, or maybe it just, I don't know what it was, but I definitely, the movie lost me at a few points. There were definitely small moments in it that brought me back. I think one of those highlights was Michael Cera for sure for me for this film. But I'll leave it at that for now.
Nice. Vinny, hit us with it.
Yeah, honestly, I'm in the same boat as you guys. Also, to the audience at home, there's a mosquito trying to attack me. So if I'm clapping about the air and fighting for my life, that is the reason why. So yeah, I feel the same way. I'm in the same boat. My biggest problem with this film is that it's Wes Anderson, and he's one of the greatest auteur filmmakers of our generation. And I just wish I had more to say. I don't really have anything to say about this film. I went into it kind of just expecting Wes Anderson, and I got out with just Wes Anderson. It's solid. There's nothing offensively bad about it, but there's nothing too great about it. You know, it wasn't like Moonrise Kingdom or even Asteroid City that I liked more, where I had a lot of charm with his prior films. But in this, he has the same humor, he has the same kind of gags and style, obviously, but just lacking in charm, lacking in story, and just interests. You know, same with you, Mikey. I just the story felt very redundant, and at times I felt lost, even though I shouldn't have felt lost. So yeah, it was solid. It was solid.
I unfortunately agree with both of you, which I don't want to, because I really love Wes's work. I think he's brilliant and so artistic, and I always find something positive to say about his films, which I do have a positive about this one. I just think that it's always gorgeous, his work, no matter what. You at least know that you're going in, and even if you have no idea what's happening, you can appreciate the gorgeous shots and artistry that he puts into his films. But this film, for me, it's kind of at the same point as The French Dispatch, where I understood what was happening for Phoenician Scheme. I didn't care, though. I don't think I really cared about the storyline and where it was going. I didn't really have any character that I was on the ride with and was rooting for. I kind of was just honestly checking my watch a little bit of Jesus, how much longer do we have until it gets to a point where it really starts picking up to. But I think that Wes is just starting to get into a little bit of a rut of doing these very big, well-known cast with these very in-depth, detailed storylines, and it's getting a little bit murky. And really the only people that are now going to see his films are the diehard fans, which you don't want. You want people to be appreciating your film work. And but I think he's also at such a level where he probably just doesn't care. And he's like, I'm going to make the stories that I want to make, which also he can because he is Wes Anderson. But I want to ask you, Vinny. So Michael gave a shout out to Michael Cera. What did you think of Cera's performance in this? Did you like him in the style? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Cera was the best part of the film for me. And same with Mia Threapleton. Them two were my favorite parts. And I feel like everybody's been saying this. He fits perfectly within the Anderson style, within the Anderson world. He's great. I know my theater really laughed at almost all of his jokes. There was like a group of old heads that like were super loving the film. And not to go into like spoilers, but the one like big joke of Michael Cera, when they're in the jungle, everyone just started dying. So I think he's perfect for this, and he's easily the best part, in my opinion. But again, I just don't think he made up for the faults of this film.
Michael, what was like another... okay, so you loved Cera's role. Why don't you talk about like what you liked about it? And then if there was, like Vinny said, Mia was a big standout for him. Was there another standout for you? Do you think Michael Cera just carried the whole film?
No, I mean, I'll start with the first half of that question. I'm a very big Michael Cera fan.
Yeah.
Arrested Development for me is one of my favorite shows. And so I've always known Michael Cera as being such a comedic actor. I know that he can get serious with certain performances. Juno, I know, being one, and a few others. But for me, it was so cool to see him be able to apply both those sort of acting aspects in this, to go from comedy and then immediately like, oh no, like now I'm serious, and almost like kind of fully embody like both nerdy and kind of cool at the same time in like in one film. So I feel like, just performance wise, like, wow, like that's like something cool in the midst of something that's that's star studded, let's just say, that you aren't really getting a lot of these other you aren't getting that type of performance out of these other actors in it. So that just stood out to me. And then again, being a big fan of his, I was like, yeah, he's holding this film up for sure. I agree with you, Vinny. I think that Mia for sure was another standout. I feel like she paired with Michael Cera was really, really well. They had a lot of funny moments together. It was in the trailer for it, but like the moment when he got drunk, and like their just dialogue there was just really funny, and how little things were able to come back later on in the film, I thought were really cool between the two of them. I liked. I don't think Benicio surprisingly was a standout, being that he was the lead of this film, but I do think that him paired with the three of them together, honestly, are even a good pair. I think that the three of them had a lot of funny moments. The way that him and Mia were able to keep kind of like a monotone, sort of dry humor sort of characteristic with it, but still display out so much, characteristic with their characters. It was, I enjoyed that. So those would definitely be the only standouts of this film for me. Yeah.
I think it's tough. I talked about this when we covered Asteroid City, because I remember for Asteroid City, Steve Carell, like everybody was like, oh, he's going to kill it. He's going to kill it. And I actually was like not impressed with him in it at all, because I think for Wes's films, a lot of actors can just be like, oh, give nothing, give absolutely nothing, and just be deadpan, which doesn't work. And I almost feel like maybe that's what's like causing some issues in some of his films too, is that it's not just like blank stares and repeating words. Like you do need to have, it's like almost you're being reserved and like holding everything inside and trying to be as still as possible, but not be dead, which isn't easy for a lot of actors to do. Which is, I think, why Michael Cera was able to do so well at it, is because even his other performances, he's not some big like physical comedy guy. He is a little bit like softer spoken and reserved. So I think he was able to like ride in that niche a little bit and really focus in on it. Two people that I really actually liked their scene a lot more than I expected to was Bryan Cranston and Tom Hanks. I do think that scene was like a pretty funny one, pretty good like comedy. I don't know if it was just because it was the two of them though, like, or if it was the writing. That's something that I can't really decide between, is what made that scene work for me.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. I mean, that scene's great.
Yeah.
All my friends, they're loving that scene.
That scene specifically.
Yeah, that scene specifically. It's like, that must be a fan favorite. I think it really is their performances, honestly,
right?
Because, you know, the writing is just, that's the thing. It's Anderson has it down to a formula now. So in that scene particularly, there's nothing really that special outside of the formula. But Bryan Cranston and Tom Hanks, I think, really elevate that scene. You know, with the college sweats they're wearing.
I know.
And just like playing into the body movement. So I think it was, and also Riz Ahmed, I forgot.
So good.
He's great in that scene. So I take the side that it was the performers. Obviously, Wes has to set a foundation for the performers to act upon, but I take the side that it was because of Bryan Cranston and Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
I agree. I for sure agree. I think that they've also just like cemented themselves as like legends at this point, that it's like we were just covering The Studio. Go watch that if you guys can. But Bryan Cranston is in that show, and like it's like one of those things where he doesn't appear a lot, but like when you see him, it's like, all right, this is about to be good. And so it's like, I agree fully with that. I also agree that Riz was a small but great element in that scene. But that kind of poses a question that I want to ask you guys that I've been seeing, and I'm curious. Do you think that he's becoming too reliant on a stack cast instead of the story?
Yes, I 100% do. I keep saying that I think what will save like his next film is he's got to get rid of the big cast, and he needs to have a cast of like 3 people and focus on just like a triangle relationship somehow, and not have us have these like random characters come in that are very heavy to the plot for no reason. Like if he can bring it down and make a simpler story between 3 people and still have it be very Wes aesthetically, I think people would be really surprised and enjoy it more.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I also think, I know this conversation popped up with the release of The French Dispatch as well as the release of Asteroid City, but it almost feels like Wes is becoming a parody of himself, which is a really interesting conversation. And I feel like I don't have enough to say within the topic specifically, but I really felt it here. With Asteroid City, funny enough, like that's where I heard the conversation pop up. I didn't feel it in Asteroid City, but I felt it here, where it just felt the story was redundant and the style was so just formulaic to what he's good at. Like he knows it works, so he's just repeating it over and over and over again. And I would like to see his next film be a smaller film, smaller budget maybe, and just have like Liz said, just something more intimate, I guess, rather than, you know, like businessman traveling across the world, you know, or The French Dispatch was a bunch of vignettes, story after story after story. So
I
do you agree?
I agree with both of you. Yeah, I didn't see Asteroid City, and so I can't really make an argument to that. And I remember hearing that argument come about with that film specifically. I agree, though. I did with both of you. I feel like this is the film where you could see it and play out, just because there are certain performances in this that, you know, like there are actors that are just like, you know, not everyday sort of well-known actors. And then like you have actors that clearly, like, you know, you have like Scarlett Johansson, which is like she's in most films of his, but like, there in this film, it was like a thing where it was like, it almost felt like he just shoehorned like a famous face for the sake of the role.
Yeah.
You know?
Willem Dafoe in this being like the church guy. I was like, wait, is he not going to be more relevant in this film besides this random role?
Yeah, 100%. So I feel like I agree with both of you. This was for sure the film where this argument makes a lot of sense, and it's true. Yeah.
I also think it would just save him, because right now it really is starting to be redundant. Actually, a question for you both. people, like, before this film came out, it was whispered and said, like, oh, this is gonna be the darkest one of like Wes's films, like it's gonna have a much more dark tone to it. Do you feel like it was much darker? Do you think that was true? Do you wish it was darker than how it was? Vinny?
I didn't feel it to
No,
be dark
I
at
didn't
all.
either.
It just seems like when it comes to the subject of dark, it's within Wes Anderson's style. It's it's not unexplored territory within the Phoenician Scheme.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, his films are lighthearted, but they still have like dark subject matter, literally any, there's always like dark comedy to his films,
Yeah.
and this one, same thing, but it's not dark. It's not a dark film, like, far from it.
Yeah.
The whole theater was laughing for a vast majority of the film. I think that was a marketing stunt, to be honest,
To get people sat.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Michael?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there were a few moments in this film that I guess could be looked at as darker than other, like literally two, like maybe one, honestly.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like this could have been darker. Not only that, I feel like this isn't a spoiler in any way, but I feel like death is a theme in this film to a degree. Both the afterlife and during life sort of themes, and I feel like he could have played more 100% with that, with like not only that, the subject matter of like playing with death and playing with this guy kind of facing like these near-death experiences, like, and also putting people in that. He could have done a lot with that, which could have added to the story and added not only that, but also to his style. I feel like it could have amplified his style a little bit and just been a little different, but we didn't get that.
No, I was hoping, like, what I want from Wes next is keep your aesthetic, your artistic vision, but the story needs to be almost like Edward Scissorhands esque, and like less colorful, a little bit more muted tone, color palette, but you can still have it be the like very aesthetically organized and pleasing box vision that Wes's style is. But I think if he can go almost like a Tim Burton character route, that would be really great. I would love that. I would love it.
Yeah. It'd be super cool. Just something that is more cool.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Not even, I feel like, not even just that. It's just like, it's not convoluted. It's just something that's like we can actually sit with the character. Because even like Benicio in this, like, I never felt a reward in the end.
Yeah.
Were you have anything to say there?
And that was my biggest talking point is, I mentioned how the plot feels very redundant.
Yeah.
And you even said, which I agreed with, that it feels very like it loses you at times, which it really shouldn't, because it's so formulaic and it's just like, oh, he meets with businessman, tries to deflate the price, meet with businessman over and over and over again. And that's why it felt not rewarding, because it didn't feel like we were really building into anything. And the one thing we were building to was Cumberbatch's character and the whole fight there. But that felt just like so out of left field. Like it was like one photo at the beginning of the film. Like, yeah, that's your uncle. And then at the end, like it's like, oh, that's the buildup, like, to this interaction. It felt, it almost felt like a nothing plot line in a way. Yeah. Because even the heaven stuff felt so, like you guys said, like they could have added to that. They could have like done real thematic messaging with death and afterlife, and they're definitely doing something there, like the only thing he knows is to be this unethical negotiating businessman, and the only thing he can do in the afterlife, even after his death, is just negotiate with money, and then that leads him to find faith. But even then, it just didn't feel like it was executed properly. It felt very just like shoved in. Yeah. And with the final interaction, again, back to what I was saying, like it just felt shoved in. Like, but oh, here's Cumberbatch now. All right, movie's over.
Yeah, like he's gonna be the final punch, and then all right, we're done. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I agree. I like fully everything that you just said. I agree with. This is crazy because I'm just looking at like the trivia. Did you know that Mia Threapleton is Kate Winslet's daughter?
Oh shit!
What?
I did not know that.
I don't even see it, to be honest.
I mean, I've got it up right now, and like I guess you could see it like in the comparison picture, but I didn't know that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Nepo babies.
Gotta love that nepotism.
It's crazy. They're like crawling out the sewers. It's
well, now they're on to it where everybody just changes their last name too, because like they didn't want. She probably didn't want to be like, oh, Mia Winslet.
Yeah, that's crazy though, because I feel like Nepo babies are becoming a trend. Like there was like a magazine cover that I saw and it was like Nepo babies are in now. And I was just like, what? Like, huh? So I mean, like wild. Nothing against her performance. Again, she's
still incredible. Yeah,
great. But like, wow, just to hear that,
I know it's really crazy. Well, I don't know if I have any other thoughts. Do you guys have anything else that you want to like cover or talk about with it?
Yeah, not really.
All right, I guess we go to scores and final thoughts then. Who wants to go first?
I guess I'll go first.
Vinny hit us with it.
I'm giving this a 6, a light 6.
Okay.
I just, it's a 6. It's more on the positive end of the spectrum than the negative end of the spectrum because I feel like Wes can't go bad. Like it's gonna be really hard for him to make like an outright offensively bad movie, because his filmmaking is still immaculate. The performances are still immaculate. I was chuckling. The theater seemed to chuckle a lot. Like I said, that group of old heads in my theater loved the movie. But then again, going back to everything we said in this review, it's just there are faults to the film, and it feels way too formulaic.
Yeah.
Mikey?
Yeah. Oh man. I think I'm gonna go with a 5.5.
Wow.
I think so. I was gonna go 5. But in hearing even the last of what you had to say, Vinny, just now, I just remembered like, yeah, he really can't go wrong with like his style. Even like the costume design in this was pretty cool. Like Benedict Cumberbatch's just whole design was like,
it was cool.
It was. And so I was like, I don't know. I'm very 50-50 with this film. There was a lot that I enjoyed, but there was a lot that it's not that I didn't enjoy it. It just wasn't interesting to me. Yeah. And so like that's why I feel like being like right in the middle is perfect.
I am going a little bit higher. I'm going to do a 6.5 just because it's Wes and he does have my heart as a director. I think that he's one of the most brilliant-minded, artistic directors in Hollywood and making films. And he really has set his own tone. I just think it's now time for him to break his own mold, honestly, and go do something that like surprises everybody. Maybe he'll get this message from his fans because now it's been like 3 in a row where people have been like, ugh. But honestly, also a part of me thinks that he just likes his niche and he's going to keep doing what he wants to do. So I got to put a respect on somebody that knows their thing and keeps doing it. So 6.5. But yeah, all right. That's our episode on the Phoenician Scheme. If you stayed with us this whole episode, thank you for watching. We have a ton of other content available on our YouTube page, our Instagram. We also are available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We just finished or are finishing up the Tribeca Film Festival with a ton of film coverage coming out. We're also going to be covering The Materialist this upcoming weekend. There's something else, How to Train Your Dragon, we're going to be covering. So a lot coming out. Hit the subscribe button so that you can be alert when we have new videos. And just signing off, I am Liz Seiko.
I'm Michael Peniston.
And I'm Vinny Michael.
Thank you for watching.
This is The Culture.